I didn't think my room had enough fish tanks in it, so I decided to add one more. I found this desk thing on the side of the road and thought it would look nice in the corner of my room. More importantly, it was free and it could hold my weight. On top of it, I will be adding a 5-gallon tank, which will soon be home to a betta fish, a few pest snails, and a couple of orange dream shrimp. To start out, I'm going to add in a bit of aqua soil because it's a nutrient-dense base for the plants to grow in. On top of it, I'm going to add some black sand because it looks cool and I only have white sand in my other tanks right now and I kind of want to mix up. I decided to take my scuba certification card and use it to smooth out the sand because it seems fitting. Now that our sand is in the tank, I'll be adding in some slate rock. I actually just found these outside of my work, so don't tell my boss I stole the landscaping. I gave these a super thorough cleaning to make sure they were safe, and I'm going to stack them up in the back so the shrimp have a place to gossip. Now that the Heartscape is mostly set up, I'll be adding in the first 2 plants. The other ones are on their way to my house still. I use tweezers to gently push these all the way to the bottom of the substrate. Once all of our plants are in, it's time to gently add water. When I put the water in, all of the money wort floated to the top, so I had to rebury them and add sand back on top. Now that the scape is all done, we're going to add in a little bit of plant fertilizer. I'm using Seachem Flourish, and a little bit goes a long ways, so we're just going to add a few drops to give the plant some nutrients. Now we're going to add on our light, and also add in a little bit of driftwood. A few days later, our filter and a couple other plants arrived. The plan is to add these right in front of the slate to give us a little more depth. As for the other plant, we're going to install it all throughout the front of the tank, and hopefully it spreads out and makes a nice lush carpet. I think our setup looks pretty good. We'll just add in a few floating plants and let the tank sit for a while. After a few weeks, the algae in this tank has spread like crazy. There's no better time than now to add in our first inhibitants, a couple of pest snails that will hopefully help us tackle our algae problem. The second they hit the bottom of the tank, they start helping out cleaning up the algae. After just a few minutes, you can already tell the difference. This clip is sped up, but you can tell how persistent the pest snails are in cleaning up the algae. Unfortunately, the tank is still a mess and a couple of pest snails won't be able to clean up a tank this size, so it's time to call in the reinforcements. These are orange dream shrimp, and they've traveled hundreds of miles for one task, to clean up this tank. They're super energetic, and as you can tell, they don't have any ounce of camera shyness in them. After a few minutes of drip acclimation, they're ready to get into their new home and start cleaning. The shrimp waste no time and immediately start grazing the tank for food. One of the more brave shrimp decides to introduce himself to one of the snails. Unfortunately, the snail gets scared back into his shell, so the shrimp decides to move on. This shrimp in the front wants to prove that he's a parkour expert. If you look really closely, you can see these little white specks moving around on the glass. These are called microfauna, and they help break down waste and are super good for the tank. Originally, I thought that the shrimp loved the camera, but I guess I was wrong because when I tried to film a few of them, they would swim off. After a few weeks, the plants started to grow out of the water, so I drained it and had to trim a couple of them. The tank is looking super healthy now, so it's time to add in our main character, Rosco, the betta fish. After acclimating Rosco, we dropped him right into his new tank, and he must have been hungry because he immediately started eating some of the microfauna. He might have been hungrier than I thought because he tried to take a bite out of a shrimp. After checking out the bottom of the tank and saying hello to some of the shrimp, Rosco started to swim around and explore the tank a little bit, showing off his beauty. I think Rosco, being an all-white fish, pops really well with the black backdrop and black sand of this aquarium. I'm not too sure how, but our tank got overloaded with duckweed, the floating plant that you can see in this shot. It's a happy accident though because Rosco seems to love it. Rosco must think he's part shrimp too because he's constantly grazing the sand and plants for food. On the other side of the tank we have a turf war. Snails versus shrimp versus betta fish. They all want the slate rock as their home. The shrimp first threatens the snail and takes it for himself. This is short-lived though because Rosco swims over and threatens the shrimp. The shrimp acts brave for a few minutes but eventually loses the battle to Rosco. Now that the turf war is officially over, Rosco comes out of hiding, victorious with his new mansion. Everyone's worked up an appetite after the turf war, so Rosco comes over to get a bite to eat. Rosco's always hungry, so I have to be careful how much food I put in the tank because I think he would just eat until he popped. So after a handful of weeks, lots of planting, rearranging, a few turf wars, and a lot of food, the tank is finally complete, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Please comment something down below and subscribe to my channel if you're interested in this type of content. I also have a couple other videos on tank setups like the ones I just showed you a second ago. Have a great day.